Hi guys and welcome back to Irony Completed. So like I said in my last video, I'm filming a couple of videos at the same time, so I'm wearing the same clothes as last time, but I changed my lipstick because I started filming this video and then my camera battery died, so I had to stop and recharge it, and I got bored of my lipstick because it was a gloss and it was getting in the way of eating Easter chocolate, so I took it off and put this on just so I could film this video. And again, like I said in my last video, I'm really sick right now, so just ignore my voice, ignore my general ill appearance, and let's just get on with filming my March book club. Now, in March I didn't read as much because I had a lot of deadlines, and also a lot of the books that I was assigned to read were things that I'd read before, so I didn't necessarily want to reread everything when I had deadlines and other stuff that was priority and all that kind of thing. So I read 4 things in March, and I will tell you what they are right now. Reread Picture of Dorian Gray. Talked about this in a different book club. This is probably in my top 3 favourite books of all time. I reread it because I wrote an essay on it, and because it's one of my top 3 favourite books of all time. If you haven't read it, you should read it and let me know what you think, because it's fucking great. It's so great. The second thing that I read was Sin City, and this is a spoiler from last month's book club because I had already read it when I'd filmed that book club, but it was already in March, so I didn't want to include it in February when technically I did read it in March. But I did kind of mention it really briefly in my TBR, and I mentioned that I'd already finished it. But it is Sin City, The Hard Goodbye, which is the first one in the series, and this was the story of Marv. If you know the comics or the film at all, this is Marv's story, and it's really great. I really enjoyed it. I want to read the rest of them. I've read one other comic book which is much later in the order of the series, but I did really enjoy this. I really love graphic novels and comic books, so it was really great to get to study one for a change, and it was really interesting when you compare the comic books to the film, because the film is so faithful and shot in a way that they really tried to get the same style that Frank Miller has in his artwork, and whether it's successful or not is highly debatable, and I really enjoyed having all those kinds of discussions. But I'd say that if you're a fan of the film, then you should definitely check out the original comic books because they're so much better and the artwork is absolutely phenomenal, and I really do enjoy the Frank Miller Sin City comic books. I didn't read all of this, but I read a lot of short stories from this, so I'm just going to count it. This is Women Who Did, Stories by Men and Women, and I read 10 short stories from this. So this is stories from Victorian and Edwardian women, and it's focusing a lot on the new woman, which is an emerging figure at the time, kind of a feminist figure, kind of not, proto-feminist I guess, coming out of the suffrage movement and things like that, 1890 to 1914, so in the late 1800s and the early 20th century. This is about women's role in that time period, and it's just really interesting. There were some really great stories. One of my favourite stories I'd already read before, but I read it again in this, was The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. It's fantastic. There's some other really interesting ones as well. It was very interesting how people perceived the new woman figure at that time period, and how we perceive it now is very different, so I really liked reading about it from both a male and female perspective at the time, and I really enjoyed these. These are really great. I would definitely recommend this if you enjoy short stories. This was great. I really enjoyed it. Last book I read, I don't have with me because I didn't obviously bring every single book back from uni with me. I just bought the ones that I knew I was going to revise basically. And so the last book that I read was King Solomon's Mines by H. Rider Haggard, and I really enjoyed it. I wasn't 100% sure what it was about, but basically it's about a group of explorers who go over to Africa to try and find one of their brothers who has been lost for an undisclosed amount of time. It doesn't really specify how long he's been lost for, but he went in search of King Solomon's diamond mines and just never came back, so they go out there in search of him, and along the way they come across this tribe that's basically been untouched by modernity in any way, because the tribe lives behind these mountains that no one's ever been able to cross before. So they live in the wasteland before you get to King Solomon's diamond mines, and they're very much a prehistoric kind of group of people, or a pre-modern group of people, and it's very interesting because it contrasts their way of life with the Victorian explorers' way of life, and I just think it's a really interesting exploration of colonialism and the rush for Africa that was going on at the time. It's a really interesting like critical commentary on the attitude towards countries and continents like Africa at the time, but also at the same time it does kind of play into these colonialist stereotypes, so it's very, very interesting. I really enjoyed it, much more than I thought I was going to enjoy it actually. So if you're into kind of adventure stories, then I think you'd really like it, because it really is a great Victorian adventure story, and I did really enjoy it. That's everything that I read in March. Now, in terms of like a TBR for April, I'm not 100% going to set myself a list of books that I want to read, because most of this month I am at home and I am revising for exams, because my first exam is on the 4th of May, so I really do have to spend the entirety of April revising for the exams that I have coming up, and they are all at the start of May. Last year I had them at the end of May. However, the one thing that I started reading on the train home and that I would like to finish reading in April is Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut. I started to read this on the train. I'm about 3 or 4 chapters in, so I'm not very far in at all, but it's not a very thick book either. So basically this book centres around the bombings of Dresden in World War II, and it follows a soldier who kind of believes that he was abducted by aliens and he can like travel backwards and forwards in time in his own timeline, like in his own life, because time isn't linear, it's alinear. And it's really interesting how Kurt Vonnegut has combined an anti-war book and a commentary on the horrors of World War II with something that's a little bit more science fiction-y, and I really appreciate that. I've been really enjoying what I've read so far, and I will definitely report back to you guys if I enjoy this, but I'm sure I will. Lots of you told me that I would really enjoy it when I hauled this a long time ago. I think I hauled this in November, and a lot of you guys said that I would really enjoy it, so I hope you're right and that I do really enjoy it. I'm very excited to carry on reading it and get it finished before I start revising. But that's everything for this month's book club. I'm sorry that it's not a longer video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway. Please let me know down in the comments any books that you read and really enjoyed in March, or if there were any books that you read and absolutely hated. Either way, I'd love to know. And also let me know what you guys are planning on reading in April too. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Tumblr or Instagram, they'll all be linked down in the description, along with everything that I'm wearing and what's on my face right now. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me while I'm sick. My mum's sorting the fire out now, so this is a great time to be filming the end of my video. Thanks, Mum. Thanks. Anyway, thank you guys for bearing with me while I'm a little bit sick, and I hope you guys had a fantastic Easter and that you have a great April. See you next time. Bye.